In this video, we are going to take an updated look at the Magnify Sculpt Layer brush, as well as the Erase Sculpt Layer brush found in the Sculpt workspace, just below the surface brushes and the custom section. What it does is allow the user to make localized changes to the depth of a given layer. When we say sculpt layers, they are essentially the same layers that you have in the Paint workspace, where 3D Coat stores color, glossiness, metalness, and depth. And that recorded depth information is what we would call a sculpt layer, because it allows you to store sculpt information per layer. 3D Coat is storing depth when you brush either with a surface brush, but also when you are painting and you have depth enabled here among the three channels. If I wanted to make global adjustments across the entire layer and the entire object, I can select one of these layers, for example, the bumps layer. I'll hide that so you can see what I'm referring to. And I can go to the Depth Opacity slider and enter a numeric value, or I can just use the slider to adjust it interactively. And I can go above 100. However, in many cases, you will want to modulate this in a more localized fashion. So for example, I may be happy with the depth level here, let's say at 100%, but maybe I don't want it so noticeable or so deep here on this side. What I can do is select the Magnify SL Brush, and I can choose reduction or magnification if I want to intensify the depth. But in this case, again, I just want to reduce it a bit. I can adjust the degree of intensity at the top of the UI in the toolbar. Right now, it's currently set to 50%. Probably would want to feather it around this area so it looks a little bit more natural. Maybe I want to do the same here a little bit. And you can see that it's not affecting the other details. And that is because, as you can see in the layer panel, they are stored on separate layers. I'll now switch to the cracks layer. I will reduce the depth level on the entire layer first, and then I'm going to dial the rest of it back with a brush locally, using the Magnify Sculpt Layer brush. We had previously shown in a separate video that you can take the voxel sculpting edits you make and project it onto a copy that is in surface mode, and 3D Coat will store a sculpt layer for that projection. So at various stages, you could reproject the voxel sculpting edits onto that surface copy. And someone in the comments asked about a morph brush, something they may be used to coming from another sculpting application. So this would be the rough equivalent of that tool. If I want to increase the depth level once more, I can click on the magnification mode button and just brush back over it. Okay, so I'll go back to the reduction brush. The Erase Sculpt Layer brush is very similar to the Magnify Sculpt Layer brush, except that it's more permanent and more destructive. Just like in Photoshop, when you are working with the Erase tool compared to working with layer masks. So that's going to conclude this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you found it helpful. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.